to my second episode of my mandated podcast, Kill the Messenger. This episode is called Trial of Monsters, because I will compare and contrast the book Monster by Walter D. Myers and the Crucible by Arthur Miller. Both of these books deal with tests of truth and the innocence of the people on trial. Monster revolves around Steve Harmon writing a screenplay of the trial he's involved in. He was the lookout for a robbery gone wrong and is now getting accused of accessory to murder. The Crucible is about the Salem witch trials and is based on a true story. It revolves around our protagonist, John Proctor, attempting to disprove the lies spewed by our antagonist, Abigail Williams. Let's take a look at Mr. Harmon. Throughout the book, he has to fight to be charged not guilty, but we, the audience, know that he, in fact, did do the crime. He does not end up paying the time, though, as he is found not guilty. After all, he didn't know someone was going to die during the robbery.
We see jury foreman as he continues to read. Cut to close-up of Steve's mother. We see her desperately clasping her hands before her face distorted with the tension of the moment. Then, suddenly, dramatically, she lifts her hands high and closes her eyes. Cut to the guards who were standing behind Steve move away from him. He has been found not guilty.
On the flip side, let's look at Mr. Proctor. He is in the opposite situation towards the end of his book and movie. He was being convicted of witchcraft and was ultimately killed for it. Of course, we know he was innocent, but he was still punished for essentially nothing.
Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done
in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses. We forgive them that trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever.
Because these two texts are fairly, there's a fairly obvious theme of innocence, between these two books. This makes me, it makes me recall a time my innocence was taken into question. You see, when I was a boy, I liked food. I was kind of a fat boy. I still am a little fat boy, but I was in the past, too. I would take the guest candy that my mother would leave out and hide it in my room for consumption. The sustenance would fill my large gut, and I just happened to be sloppy with the remains, unfortunately. I would throw the wrappers through the cracks of my bed and leave them under the abyss of my slumber. My maternal figure gained suspicion and began to accuse me of such inflammatory action as stealing from my own family. Outrageous, I say! Of course, I knew I was guilty of such heinous acts, but I protested nevertheless. A few fortnights later, my bed was to be moved, as we were relocating to new lands. As we separated the bed from the wall, an avalanche of candy wrappings bombarded our visual orbs, a concoction of chocolatey smells and wrappers of varying materials. I was beaten, senseless. I could not see the sun for an amount of time I am not comfortable with sharing. I was punished for my misdeeds. Both Proctor and Harmon went through different parts of my expressive story. Harmon, being guilty, protected his claim of innocence throughout the trial. Proctor, being innocent, was punished thoroughly and aggressively. Oh, I'm sorry, I got that mixed up, didn't I? Okay, I meant Harmon being guilty protected his claim of innocence throughout the trial, right? I mean, he protected it thoroughly. Him and his lawyer. I suggest you read the book to understand fully. I don't want to spoil it too much. Proctor was the innocent one, and he was punished thoroughly and aggressively, being murdered. But, of course, the historical periods of these should be taken into account. After all this time, the trials of, like, Harmon were very, very modern day, and they weren't witch hunts, they were fair. And unlike, the witch trials, where Proctor's trials were, it was a very, very paranoid time where people in general thought you could trust no one. This caused people to kill those they perceived as evil. And Harmon's case, his trial was fair, and despite his guilt, the audience, we still want him to win his case. They still do have this common theme of innocence, though, because of Harmon's constant statements of purity. He is just a kid, after all. I think, if I remember correctly, he was about, 15, 16 maybe in the book. And he was in jail with other actual, killers and things. I mean, to the point where we as the audience begin to even doubt his true guilt. Is Steve Harmon actually innocent? Is John Proctor truly innocent? John struggles with this thought throughout the Crucible, because he has done some pretty irreprehensible things, such as his affair with a minor, which he still feels guilt about because of his wife, Elizabeth, constantly reminding him of such a thing. He does not believe himself to be above the witch trials, and so he almost gives himself up, but he wants to, as you'll see in the movie, keep his name. Beautiful scene, I would suggest it. But are these protagonists pure? Maybe not. But what matters isn't purity, but true innocence. Innocence that you can taste, like chocolate hidden under the bed. Like your father's belt for eating that chocolate under your bed. Well, I would like to thank each and every one of you for listening to this very special episode of my podcast. After all, it is only episode 2, and thank you for sticking around. I would highly suggest reading Monster, as it is a very good book, and a personal favorite of mine. I haven't read, or I haven't watched the movie, but it's a Netflix movie, so I don't think it's going to be very good. I would suggest watching the Crucible movie, as the book is horrendously boring and hard to read. Plus, the movie features Winona Ryder and Daniel Day-Lewis. The book doesn't do that. The book it's the language, I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy the book, to be honest with you. I would like to give a special shout out to my table 7, I think we are, in my English class, and my English teacher, Miss McCarty, for giving me this assignment and opportunity. They helped me tremendously, both of them, and I would like to give a shout out to them for this special podcast. So till next time, remember this is your narrator, Shawn, and remember to kill the messenger.